All right. All right.
All right, we're
Yeah.
back. It is what, March the 28th, Friday, 1 o'clock. Appearing
Yeah.
from Brandon, Florida, your host, Paul Reed. Appearing from Tallahassee, the Ed McMahon to my Johnny Carson,
That's
Jason
right.
Crawford. Thank you
Yep.
for joining us for another edition, whether you're watching it live or on one of the many streaming services that we show up on when you're really not wanting to see us. All right, so a couple of things. You see, I have my Tampa Bay Rays jersey on. It's opening day. The Rays play at 4:15 versus the Colorado Rockies in the Steinbrenner Stadium in Tampa. Whoa, who would have saw that coming? But either way, it's going to be a beautiful day. Hopefully, we get a win. And let's
Yeah.
jump right into our topic.
Okay.
Every day, all day, every day, here at Reed and Reed, we have to navigate, talk about, and explain what the Florida no fault means.
Oh, I know what that is.
Yeah.
It means
Go ahead,
nobody's
little
at
Jason.
fault
Jason,
ever.
what is it?
No
Florida no
one's
fault.
ever at fault. Everybody just smiles after. There's no road rage. Nothing happens when you hit somebody in Florida. It's like a bump, and they're just like, "Hey, no fault, no worries." That's what it
All
is,
right,
right?
so we obviously know Jason has been smoking crack again today because that is not what Florida no fault is. What it is, in simplistic terms, it's health insurance through your car.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. And so basically, if you're, and it covers three things. People don't realize this. It covers basically if you're the owner of a vehicle, and I'll get to some of these, if you're using your vehicle, but if you're maintaining your vehicle, you say maintaining, yeah. By way of example, let's just say you're changing the spark plugs and the hood falls on you and breaks your arm. You don't have health insurance, but you got to go to the doctor, hospital, or otherwise get treated. Your personal injury protection will pay up to $10,000 in medical bills because you were maintaining your car. Another case out there back in the day, the guy was changing his tire on the side of the road and he got blasted. The courts held that that was maintaining your car, even though you were not in your car. Another case out there, a guy was in his car. This was a road rager. Guy was in his car. Guy comes up and punches him in the face. Now, obviously, that wasn't a crash, but he was using his car. So
Hmm.
if you're, if it has something to do with your car, then and you're injured, have medical care and treatment, you may want to think about, hey, will this cover this my medical bills?
Wow.
So that's really one thing. They should change the term because fault in the
Hmm.
state of Florida matters, but it should
Okay.
be Florida regardless of fault. Because what it
Yeah.
simply means is, regardless of who's at fault, your automobile, and we're talking about cars, your
Mm-hmm.
automobile insurance pays for your medical bills and potentially lost wages.
Mm.
And I say potentially lost wages is people, you have to be aware of this. They changed the law way back when, which allows you to exclude lost wage benefits under your no fault or regardless of fault policy. Just
Okay.
so you'll know, if you check that exclusion to save a few bucks and you get in a crash and you can't work, well, the Florida no fault benefits for lost wages is 60%. You say, well, 60%, it's better than zero. So if you're going to check the work loss exclusion, see how much it really saves you. If it's $10, $25, it's not worth it. Because if you get injured, which look, I've been doing this 28 years, believe me, people get injured in car wrecks and can't work. 60% is better than nothing. And then, well, my work provides disability, this, that, and the other. Let me tell you this, that can take months to get to qualify. Your bills don't start coming, and your need for feed eating
Yeah.
does not stop either.
Yeah.
All right, so
Oof.
here's a big one. The no fault system. Here's the questions
Mm.
that we get asked. Jason comes into my office. He has
Okay.
a car. He's in Tallahassee,
Hmm.
and he's taking the garbage out here at the office, just being helpful. He's bored, and he gets hit as a pedestrian taking the garbage out by somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So Jason's car, he hitched a ride down here. Jason's car's in Tallahassee. Jason's taking out the garbage, and he gets hit by somebody as a pedestrian.
Okay.
Does his automobile no fault insurance cover him? I mean, he's not maintaining his car. He's not using his car. He's not in his car. The answer is yes, because Jason owns a car.
Hey.
So you got ownership, maintenance, and then their use or repair. So yes, even though Jason's car's not involved in the crash, because he owns a car with insurance, his automobile insurance, his PIP, personal injury protection, will pay up to $10,000 in medical bills, or up to 60% of lost wages and so forth.
Interesting.
Here's another one that's really tricky. So Jason and Crystal, his lovely wife, and the kids live up in Tallahassee.
Yeah.
And Crystal's brother-in-law comes to stay with them for a while. I don't know, kicked out of the house. I don't even know if she has a brother-in-law. This is an example. Kicks out, living with them, and he doesn't own a car. And he's in my car down here in Brandon, Florida, and Jason is in Tallahassee. So Jason's car has nothing to do with it.
Right.
The individual is the brother-in-law is not an insured under the policy.
Right.
He's in my car, the brother-in-law.
Okay.
So whose personal injury protection coverage does brother-in-law use? Is it first question A is, brother-in-law, do you own a car? We already said no.
Right.
Here's the next question, because it's a 3-tier question.
Okay.
Brother-in-law, do you live with someone by blood or marriage who owns a car?
Yes.
I live with my sister-in-law.
Yeah. Right.
Jason's now upset because guess what? Brother-in-law is making a claim under Jason's personal injury protection insurance.
Yeah.
And what's Jason thinking? What the bleep?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm
going to go up. He wasn't in my car. My car had nothing to do with this. Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
Oh, I know exactly.
No fault. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Here's a real life story. Back when I was working with one of the big old TV law firms, love them to death. I had to drag a relative into court to make him tell us who the insurance was, because he wouldn't. He wouldn't tell us, but that it was a $10,000 worth of benefits my client needed. We were in a lawsuit and this, that, and without getting into set-offs and this, that, and the other, it was $10,000 we needed. Yeah. The judge hauled him in and said, you're not leaving until you go over there, you call your insurance, you set up the claim, and you give me the claim number.
Wow.
Yeah, because he was like you. My car had nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this was just a relative down the road kind of to speak of.
Wow, man.
He was not happy.
So the moral of that story is be careful who you let stay with you.
Well, there you go. Well, number 3 is, so first the question is, do you own a car? If the answer is no.
Yeah.
Question, do you live with a resident relative by blood or marriage? I live by myself, then no. Or I live with a friend, then no. Or I even live with a boyfriend, then no. So then it's the car you're in, if you're in somebody's car, or if you're a pedestrian or on a bicycle, it's the car that picks you off, who runs over you.
Okay.
All right. So that's very important. But for you boyfriend and girlfriends out there, you have to be careful when you're taking out insurance, because what happens is Jason and Crystal are not married, and their boyfriend and girlfriend, they live together. Jason owns a car, Crystal does not, but they use this car, both of them, to do whatever. So Jason takes out a policy and he puts insured. Jason's the insured, it's his policy. But he looks and he sees Crystal's name on the policy listed as a driver. Because she lives in the household, they list her. Okay. But not as an insured. There's a difference just on these policies, whether you're an insured or just a driver. Okay. And you say, well, what's the difference? So Crystal came down to visit her friend in Florida, and they get in Brandon, they get in a crash, and like many people in Florida, she doesn't have insurance, right?
Okay. Right.
And Crystal's hurt, right? You with me so far?
I am. Yep.
She says, "Well, yes, I have insurance. I'm on Jason's, Allstate policy."
Right.
So you
As a
go up,
driver.
Jason files a claim and says, "Hey, she was hurt. We live together, and here's her name on the policy." And I say Allstate, it could be any, but they say, "Oh no, 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 no. She's not an insured. She's just a driver listed."
Huh.
So then you say, "Crystal, do you own a car?" "No." "Do you live with a resident relative by blood or marriage?" "No, we're boyfriend and girlfriend." "Crystal, then you use the insurance of your friend in Brandon." She didn't have any.
Mm.
Crystal's out of luck.
Oh.
So
Okay.
for boyfriend and girlfriends, obviously, if you each have your own car, that's not an issue. But
Right.
if you have just one car
Not
and
covered.
you want to protect both people, you have to make sure your insurance, not just on the policy, because
Yeah.
if you're in somebody's car that doesn't have insurance, or you're hit as a pedestrian, then you're out of luck. Now,
Wow.
that
Yeah.
probably doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen.
Yeah.
All
And then
right.
I guess if you don't want to insure, just keep her as a driver.
Well, yeah, well, that's a good point, because then
Yeah.
the only way she would use your insurance is if she was in your car. Because remember, Crystal, do you own a
Right.
car? Do you live
Right.
with a resident relative? No. Well, then it's the car you're in. It's not Jason's.
That's right.
It's not
Yeah.
my insurance. So that's how that
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah.
So
That's
we talked about
wild.
the
That's interesting.
Oh, it's a nightmare. We
Yeah.
talked about the work comp exclusion. If you're going to do that to save a couple of bucks, just know that you could be, if you're in a crash and you're injured, you could be giving up a significant amount of lost wage benefits for $10 or $20 every 6 months. So just
Mm-hmm.
check and see. The resident relative, the 3 tiers, just do you own a car?
Mm-hmm.
If yes, that's it. If no, question 2, do you live with someone blood or marriage? If the answer to that's yes, that's it. And if not, question number 3, whose car were you in, or who hit you?
Mm-hmm.
So
And
that's that.
does Reed and Reed handle a lot of no fault claims for insurance?
That's all day,
Yeah.
hundreds, thousands, millions. Yeah, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
It's a real nightmare. That's
That's
why a
wild.
couple of years ago, the legislature changed the law to get rid of no fault, and
Mm.
no D-bag DeSantis vetoed it.
Mm.
Yeah, because
Mm.
it's a nightmare. Now, I will tell
Interesting.
you, it provides a lot of jobs, but it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Also, here's another thing that
okay.
people usually don't realize. Your personal injury protection, your no fault, is also a life insurance policy.
Technically, or can be
It's a
used that way.
it's a life insurance policy.
Interesting.
If you are killed and you're the owner of a car, blood or marriage of the car you're in, you get $5,000 in death benefits.
Hmm.
A lot of people
Hmm.
may not know that.
Barbara asks a question. She says,
Hi,
"How does?"
Mom.
Hey, yeah. Hi, Barbara. How does that work if you have a car in your name, but you are letting someone else drive it in another town? She may not have heard the first part of the stream, so.
Well, if you're in the state of Florida,
Mhm.
then if that person's not a relative, you're just letting
Mhm.
someone drive your car and they get in a crash, then number one, does that person own a car? If the
Mhm.
answer to that is yes, they use their own insurance. If the next question is, does that person live with somebody by blood or marriage that owns a car? If the answer to that is yes, then they use the car, that person's insurance. If not A and B, then they would use your personal injury protection benefits because they're in your car. Pretty
Gotcha.
simple. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you've explained it pretty well. So, you mentioned vetoing. I saw a lot of that, or I saw a lot of overriding of vetoes this week.
Yeah,
I
well,
don't know if you want
everybody
to switch
knows.
topics or not.
No, I
Um,
mean, yeah, the veto is just because the Republicans have a super majority up in
mm,
Tallahassee. And I think they have the president of the Senate and the speaker of the House. They're not big fans of old Governor DeSantis. So they're passing their agenda. and there's not much he can do to stop it because
No.
they can. The veto is if you have enough votes, it might be 2/3 of the legislature, it could be 60%, whatever it is. Then the governor's veto is overridden and the bill becomes law.
Yep.
So
I know you
DeSantis,
covered. Sorry.
yeah, no, DeSantis is kind of a lame duck. He still
Yeah.
has, well, I'm not up there, but from what you read here and otherwise, the Senate and the House are doing pretty much what they want. If the governor signs it, fine. If not, well, we're going to just override it anyway. Because who we kidding? I'm not sure there's a whole lot of Democrats that are on siding with Governor DeSantis on anything.
Yeah, and I know that you brought up HB 6017 a couple of weeks back on the podcast, where the free kill bill.
The free kill medical malpractice wrongful death bill.
Yeah, and so that was
Jason was saying that it has gotten out of committee and forth, and it has passed the House.
Yep.
And now it has to pass the Senate.
Yes.
And then if it does that, DeSantis can either sign it into law, veto it, like we were talking about. If he vetoes it, then if they have enough votes, they can override him.
Right.
Again, like I said 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I'll say it again today, I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, we'll see how it turns out.
Yeah, we will see.
There was a lot of testimony over this particular bill in the floor when they were reading it, and it was up for second reading, and they immediately waived the rules and did third reading and pushed it on through. So we'll see.
We'll see. And finally, and then I'll let you go.
Yep.
Remember I told you the no fault's basically health insurance. Well, there's a part of your insurance policy a lot of people don't know about called medical payments. Medical payments is probably the cheapest health insurance you can buy in America. And that's all it is. It's additional health insurance payments through your car. And it's called, we call it MedPay for short, but medical payments. I think it comes in 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000. You should have it who doesn't drive in these crazy roads? Because again, if you don't have health insurance, you could be stuck with bills. But if you have 5,000 in MedPay, your PIP will pay an amount, and its percentage, and then your MedPay hopefully leave you with no bills.
Yeah.
So when you're upping your insurance or renewing it, just look to see, okay, how much is medical payments coverage? $1,000 is $10. Give me that. $2,000 is $25. Give me that. Get you something, because it's the cheapest health insurance out there.
Yeah, I mean, it always feels like it's painful to let go of money when you don't see anything coming back for it. There's no ROI, but and you hope for insurance, you hope there's never an ROI.
Right. No, I'm with you.
But like those moments that do come where it does hit, oh man, you don't want to be up the creek without a paddle either.
And here's the deal. Now, Tallahassee may not be as congested as the Tampa Bay area, the Orlando area. If you've not had the pleasure or displeasure of driving in Miami, I'd rather swallow a bullet, to be quite honest. But
oh no,
the traffic, the anger, the impatience, the inability to drive, all of the above. I don't think it's if you're going to be in a crash. Honestly, it's when, and then when you're in that crash, is it going to be significant enough to cause you injury? Those are really the questions you have to ask, in my opinion.
They're good questions.
It's crazy out there, Jason.
Yeah, it is. It is. Speaking of crazy, we can end on a high note. I know you're a baseball fan, right? So there was a game yesterday. I don't know if you happened to see it. For FSU Seminoles versus the Florida Gators, and the way it closed out.
My brother is in the Seminoles Baseball Hall of Fame, and if you walk around the stadium, Jason, you'll see his name on one of those bricks.
I'll have to check it out. I'll have to take a picture
of it. And your kids will get a kick out of it.
Yeah, I'll have to go look for it.
I love Jason's kids. They're like nieces and nephews to me.
Yeah, well, they love you.
All right, go ahead. Continue with the story.
So FSU plays Seminoles play the Gators, and they close out the night. I think his name is Alex. I can't say his last name because I don't know how to say it, and I don't want to butcher it. But his name is Alex, and not he closes. What did you say? Closing a circuit is what it's called.
He hit for the cycle.
Yes. So a single, a double,
Yep.
a triple, and a home run in one game. But he hits the home run that he hits to close out the cycle was a grand slam home run, and it was the walk off the game scoring moment where like there's no more scoring moments after that. So what an epic!
That's impressive.
yeah. I don't remember.
Impressive. I'll tell you,
ever seen something like that.
Regardless of what happens with him, he'll have that his whole life.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, it's stuff like that. There's no trophy for because like no one's ever really done it.
Yeah.
But it's like,
how
epic!
That lad had him a good day.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
And you know what? You gotta cherish the good days. That's for sure.
Yeah. And today will be a good day too. And for everybody out there watching, we appreciate you tuning in and sharing the podcast. You know, we do it live so we can take questions if people do have them, like Barbara did today. But we always put them up on Spotify, Rumble, and YouTube when we're done. So catch them there, share them if you find them useful and helpful information. Paul, anything else before we call it out for today?
No, it's just, you know me. And I was wrong. I did my math, I think last week. So there's 24 hours in a day times 7. So there's 168 hours. I'm not sure if I said that last week or not, but there's 168 hours in a week. Take 1 hour, get your butt to church or get on your knees, tell Jesus thank you. And life will be forever plentiful and bountiful and good.
There you go, man. Yeah, I appreciate that. That's awesome. Well, here we go. I'll take us out.
Reed and Reed, it's like having a lawyer in the family.